So we have already defined these two functions to query on our MongoDB database and connect with our MongoDB database. Now in this section, we will be creating routes and interacting with our database. So first, let's describe our schema. So we will be making a file schema.go. So first line would be our package main. Here we will define a struct of person. So our first field would be ID. So this underscore ID is provided by MongoDB for each document, and would be of type string, and it has properties of JSON as ID and omit empty. So this omit empty is what helps us in encoding data as JSON in Golang. So I will provide a link to learn more about omit empty. And next thing would be a name, which will also be of type string, and then we can give designation for each person, which will also be of type string. So we will use this type person to persist our data and insert new data in the MongoDB. So before defining our get method, we will create an add method to add this person in our database. So it would be on route create, and function could be add person, and we will define this add person callback here, and it will also receive an argument res of type pointer to the fiber .ctx, and we will return error if there is any. So now we will be using the functions we defined to collect collection from the MongoDB, get MongoDB collection, and we will say collection and error, as we are returning here a collection and error. And here we will provide a DB name, which will be of type string, and the collection name. So we can define our DB name as person DB and collection name as person. We can give it as arguments. And so if there would be any error, we will return res dot status. So the fiber package provides this status to send status code. So we are sending 400 for a bad request, and we can send, let's say, there is some problem, please try again. So now we will make a new variable as new person of type person. So there is a function json.unmarshal. So this unmarshal function parses a JSON data, and then store it in a variable. So we will say we will first convert data of res.body to byte, and then we will say store it in new person variable. So this unmarshal will parse this JSON data and then store it in this new person variable. So we have to provide pointer or a reference to the variable. The new person data which we posted will be stored in this new person variable. Now we will say that we have to insert this new person variable in our collection. So we will use insert one function, and this would be a blocking function. This will make a blocking call. So we will provide a context dot background, then we will provide what we are inserting into the collection, and if there is any error, we will just return So after inserting this person, we might want to resend it to the user, that the which person we inserted. So we can say response, and we use a function json.marshal. So this will give us a JSON object of this current cur variable. So we'll say provide cur, and this we give, this is actually an error, but we have no use for this, so I give it an underscore. So if there's a variable you don't want to use, since if I give it err, will not use it, so Go will complain about it. If you don't want to use any variable, you can give a underscore in place of it, and you can say rest.status 200 dot send response. So here we have to say send strings, and we also have to return this. So now if I go run dot, so you can see our server has started. So let's see. So we are getting hello world because our get route. So let's make a post request on our create endpoint, and the body we have to provide is a JSON, and first field would be name, and we can say author. Second would be designation, and this would be st. And if I send it, you can see we are getting a ID. So now I am using this MongoDB compass uh, to see our database. So if I refresh it, you can see a person DB collection database appeared, and if I see there's a collection person, and okay, so there is some problem. Okay, so we have to provide here with name, and this should be designation. And if I run it again, so if I make a request again, and now, so you can see author SD has appeared. So make sure to change this as name, and because it should be different, uh, and so we have created our post route. Now let's create our get route, and send a list of person to the user. So let's first remove this line, and we again need, so we also, let's just close the server right now, and we also need our collection which we want to query on, and we will say get MongoDB collection and provide DB name and collection name. So if you have multiple collections, or you have to provide those collection name and DB name. So it is a generic function. If there is any error, we will just say return this response. And now we need a filter to filter our request. If you want a person of some ID, so you have to provide a filter. But here we will provide an empty filter of type bson dot m, and equal to bson dot m and object. So MongoDB stores this document in this type for easy data processing. So we have to provide our filter of this type, and we will say parent comma error equal to collection which we get, and dot find. So MongoDB provides this find function to query the database and give the appropriate document using this filter. So this will be a blocking call. So we will say context dot background to give a empty context, and we will provide a filter here. So here you can see the MongoDB provides this documentation for BSON, and it is also defines some data types of BSON as D for slice, M for map, which we used. And you can find all the functions we are using here, also omit empty, that the field used for not marshalling. And you I will provide this link in the description to read more about this BSON data type. And also I also provide this link for Mongo package in Golang. So here you will see how we worked with context, and we use this insert one functions, and also we use this collection dot find which returns a cursor to the MongoDB uh, document. So now let's also make a call to cur.close. So this close will close this cursor which return due to this find function, and we have to provide context dot background since it will also be a blocking call. So now we will take a result of type bson dot map. Now we call a function cur.all. So cur.all iterates the cursor which is pointing to the MongoDB collection and records all the document into the result variable. So we will also provide a collection.background because it is a blocking call, and we give a reference to the variable result. So we have to marshal our data. So we can say JSON.marshal. So Marshall actually encodes the data into JSON. So we have to provide a variable which holds the data. So we will say result because results hold the data we want to marshal, and we will return using res.status 200.send this JSON encoded data. So let's start our server again with go run dot. So you can see our server has started. So let's see the output. So if I refresh this page, you can see two of our output is showing. So these are two person we added before. Now let's add one new person as by changing its name, and if we post it. So let's refresh our page again, and you can see we are getting three outputs now. The details of three person. So this is how in Golang we can get the response. So till now we have created and started a server using Fiber, and we also created our two MongoDB functions to iterate and connect with our MongoDB database. We also defined routes for GET and POST request. So if you have not watched my previous videos of MongoDB and Fiber, please watch it. And in later videos, we will be deleting and updating our documents using delete and update routes. So see you guys in the next video. Thank you.